What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be making a Friday the 13th Part 5 VHS hockey mask display. It's going to be the cover of the VHS tape. I've always been obsessed with this image ever since I was a kid back in 1986. First time I saw it was 7-Eleven, actually. And for those of you who weren't around back then, yes, 7-Eleven used to rent videotapes. So I saw it, and all these questions abound in my head. You know, Jason was supposed to be dead. Number one. Number two, what was this strange mask on the cover? Because when you flip it over on the back, you see a totally different mask. So it all added to the mystique, of this film. And I finally did get to rent it from our video store, and I fell in love with it. And it's become one of my favorite Friday the 13th films. Anyway, this is how it was done. Okay, I actually had this piece of wood in mind. This is going to serve as the back piece, the main piece, and I wanted to keep it about the dimensions of a videotape, which is 1 4/5 the height of the width. So after cutting it, I found that that's going to be a little bit too big, so I actually went with the smaller piece on the right. And it was just time to bring it back inside and start cleaning it up. And you'll notice that the sides are unfinished, so I went ahead and painted them. Okay, then it was time for the stenciling. Now, luckily, in high school, I had taken a studio art class and a graphic arts design, and this was before computers, so everything we did was by hand, and we learned how to do lettering and copy lettering, and it really paid off on this thing. So it's just lightly writing in with a pencil and then painting with white, and there we have the finished title. Now it was time to we want to add a little bit of red to the center. This is just going to be a very light glitzing with spray paint. This is one of those steps where you really have to remember that less is more. If you need more, you can always add more. At first, you're just going to do this so lightly. It's very easy to get carried away. And there we are up to this point. Now what we're going to do is just leave this now. There is a darker stripe in the center, but we're not going to put that on yet until we get the mask on there and get that stripe lined up with the eye holes of the mask. Now here it is, what I've been waiting for a long time. Always wanted one of these. What this is this is a blank of the mask. None of the holes are removed, so we'll have to cut the eye holes out. We want to leave the square holes filled in because we want to paint them black. Because when this is backlit, we don't want light coming through those square holes. So here it is. And this can be ordered from JDF Studios for anyone who's interested. Now we're just going to paint all of these square holes black. And in doing this, just take your time. Make sure you get the edges straight and sharpen up the corners. Try to keep them all approximately the same size too. You don't want some bigger than others. And the best thing to use to clear the eye holes is a Dremel with a sanding bit on the end. the little round sanding drums. Just drill a hole through there. I used the bore, drilled a big hole through and sanded from the sides. And now you're getting an idea of what it's going to come out to look like. And there it is, all complete. It actually looks pretty good. You really can't tell that they're painted black unless you know. Okay, now comes the problem. How do we hang it on the board? Well, that's easy. This is just a piece of a clothes hanger, a metal clothes hanger. And we're just going to make a hook. Now, this is the indentation where the strap would go, the top strap. We're just going to drill the hole right in that indentation. And we're going to put our hook through. And at this point, if you want, you can trim off some of the hook and just set it in place and find about where you want it, exactly where you want it to be, and drill your hole for the hook. Now, once it's in, you give it a test fit. And this is what it will look like. Okay, now this is darkening up, or brightening up, I should say, the area near the eye holes. Just going to make it a little bit wider. And I'm also going to add more red in the center. That way when the light bulb is on, it'll be brighter red on the inside. And this is how I came up with where I wanted to paint, by just marking lines near the eye holes. Okay, now comes the time to bore the big hole through the center of it. And this is where the light is going to, the cord is for the light is going to go through. So I'm just using a regular extension cord, just going to run it through. And then on each side of, I guess you'd call that the receptacle end, I'm not sure, drill a hole on each side of it. And what we're doing this for is to attach a wire. And the wire is going to hold this in place. Next step is just going to simply be to feed the wire through the holes. And once you get that fed through, flip it over and tighten it down from the back. And trim off any excess. Okay, this is it. Looks a little silly, but this is how it's going to be lit. And there it is, all complete and hanging up on the wall where it belongs. Its new home where it will stay for a long time. And there's a part 3 display I made, and there's a part 2 that I had painted. Here it is, all fits in fine. Now, when you first saw it, I had the night light right side up. I turned that, inverted it upside down. Also, using a red bulb came out extremely dim. So I put a white bulb in there. Not a clear, but a white Christmas light in there. And it seems to make just the right amount of light. Anyway, I hope this inspires somebody to make one of these themselves. It's a lot of fun. And it yields a pretty cool result.